Welcome traders to this video on accumulation and distribution. Last week I created a video that was an example of a distribution, and I want to take a look at this video of an accumulation which resulted in a 14-point trade. First off, I want to talk a little bit about what happens during an accumulation or a distribution, and that is what you see on the chart is that we bounce back and forth between red and green zones, and I call that looking like a Christmas tree. Putting this on a smaller time frame chart, that doesn't do us much good either, because as we see the areas in red taking us down, followed by the green taking us back up, the red taking us down, and so forth. And what is obviously happening is a lot of contracts are being built up in these areas. So when we see a move like we saw here, and in the example from last week, it's a very significant move. In looking at the start of the accumulation, we see here that ZoneTraderPro indicated a POC extension and absorption trade, which took us down into a ZoneTraderPro trend trade, at which time we again created a POC extension zone, and this was in a normal trend trade pattern. It's not all that surprising that we see a extension zone created up here, although we wouldn't know that in real time, but it's not all that surprising because we've just had a 5-point move up, and this is the area where the sellers are going to come in and take their profit at, and that they do it with market orders is not that surprising. In looking at the market as it traded for approximately 10 minutes, we can see that we had a ZTP order flow and a point of control absorption buy given at this area right here. Then on high volume, we see that the market made its first attempt to go up, and that traded down into a ZoneTraderPro reversal and trend trade. What I find kind of interesting in here is if you look at the order flow on the sell side down, there were practically no contracts that took this down. And that is a concept called no supply. And what is happening there is the sellers have basically gone away, and what they are doing is they're looking for better prices down here because the market has fallen basically what you could call artificially down by almost 2 points. That takes us into the reversal trend trade, and on that no supply indication, the market then trades up. We create an extension zone here. We create an additional extension zone there, and then the rest is pretty much history until we reach the POC extension cell at 28.25. And this is again what those 6 trades looked like from Friday of last week. One of the things that I would also like to mention about this trading pattern that I forgot to mention in the video that highlighted this series of trades is that what was somewhat unusual about these 6 trades was the clear entry and exits for the majority of these trades, and that's not usually the case. What is usually the case is that you have a very clear entry to the trade, such as up here. We'll start looking at this one. We have high volume, a ZTP order flow, and a POC extension. Down here we again have high volume, ZTP order flow, and a ZTP extension. We have a POC extension, a POC absorption, and a ZTP order flow. On this buy signal down here, we again have a ZTP order flow and a POC extension. And up here on very high volume and a very high delta strength number, we again have a POC extension trade having been developed. Now, the reason I say this is unusual is because as far as I'm concerned, in my own opinion, the hardest thing to do is to be able to have a clear signal to get out of a trade. And getting into the trade, to me, is the easiest part because we wait for a multiple of these signals. What was unusual about these series of trades is that you received clear signals on all of these trades, which you don't usually have. You may have, on some instances, you may have just a ZTP order flow at a low, and it may or may not be on high volume. Let's say that we were in a trade short from this area here, and as we trade through the counter trend zone to this low here, you see that we have high volume and an extremely high delta strength number. That is possibly a reason to exit the trade. However, if you use the ZoneTraderPro theory, what you're going to understand is that we expect a retracement to this area right here, exactly what we got. Again, on high volume, we had a ZTP order flow sell, which took us down into an exhaustion trade with just a ZTP order flow buy. And at this point, with just a ZTP order flow buy and an exhaustion trade, and knowing the ZoneTraderPro patterns, this would have been an excellent area to take it off. Although if you had waited until the bar had completed, you would have lost 2 points of profit. So this is what I mean by not a 100% completely clear place for an exit if you had been short from up here. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this short video, and if you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call.